All right, let's talk about one of the most powerful things any of us can experience, the comeback. You know, if you've ever felt like you've just hit a wall or maybe even taken a huge step back in life, then you're going to want to stick around. We're about to dive into how you can turn that setback into your absolute greatest strength.
So, let's just get right to it. Are you going through a hard time right now? I mean, really? Does life feel more like a struggle than, well, anything else? If you're nodding your head right now, even a little bit, then yeah, you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, so before we can even talk about a comeback, we've got to talk about the setback. And that first step, it's always about facing it head on. Just acknowledging what it feels like to be in that tough spot, you know? No judgment, just honesty.
Man, it's such a frustrating feeling, isn't it? That sense that you're just not where you're supposed to be, not where you plan to be at this point in your life. It's like you look up one day and realize, wait a minute, I'm not just standing still, I'm actually going backwards, moving away from my goals.
And it can totally feel like a spiral, right? One problem just piles on top of the next. The challenges just keep coming. And it really does feel like you're just digging yourself into a hole that keeps getting deeper and deeper. That pressure, it can feel absolutely relentless.
And eventually, all that pressure leads to this one thought. It all just seems like too much. You feel completely swamped, and the idea of climbing out, of overcoming everything, it just feels impossible. It's a really tough and, honestly, a really isolating place to be.
But right here, in what feels like the absolute lowest point, that's where we find the most powerful truth of all. And it's this: the comeback is always greater than the setback. This is the promise, the core idea that fuels every single great turnaround story. It doesn't matter how deep you've fallen, your power to rise up is always, always stronger.
So the big question is, how do you tap into that power? Well, it all starts with a single moment. And here's the thing. It's not about your circumstances changing. Not at all. It's about a change in your mind. It all begins with the power of a decision.
You know, the default reaction from most people when things get tough is to do nothing, to just be passive and let the momentum keep carrying them downhill. It's kind of like being in a car that's rolling out of control and you just let it go, because trying to stop it just feels like too much work.
And this is really where the choice comes in. It's a fork in the road. On one side, you can just let your life keep spiraling. But on the other, you decide to slam on the brakes. You make a real, conscious choice that from this moment on, your life is going to be different. You decide to fight.
And where does the strength to make that decision come from? It comes from recognizing a really simple but powerful fact. This tough time you're in, this setback, it's just a chapter. It is just a moment in time. It does not define who you are or what you're capable of. Believe me, you are so much bigger than your current circumstances.
Okay, so once you've made that decision, that's when the real work starts. So how do you actually do it? What's next? Well, this next part, this is the blueprint. This is how you craft your comeback piece by piece.
Every great comeback has to start with some radical honesty. And that means asking yourself some tough questions, like really tough. Starting with this one. And hey, this isn't about beating yourself up. It's just about getting a clear, honest look at your own effort.
So this comeback plan, it's basically built on 4 key steps. First up, you've got to start with the truth. Be brutally honest with yourself because no comeback can be built on lies. Second, it's about work. And I mean working harder, yeah, but also smarter. Question your old limits, find better ways to do things. Third, you have to cut out the negativity. Seriously, be ruthless. Get rid of the people, the habits, the thoughts that drain you. And finally, number 4, maximize your time. Every single day needs to be focused on learning something or taking real concrete action.
Now, if you follow this path, it doesn't just get you back to where you started. No, it leads to something way more profound. The whole point here is to make this your last comeback story, the final one.
See, this isn't about just patching up the old you, putting a Band-Aid on things. This is about consciously designing and building a completely new life. A life that's so strong, so resilient, that these kinds of deep setbacks, they just can't knock you down in the same way ever again.
So what does this new life actually look like? Well, look, life is always going to have challenges. It's always going to have its potholes. But the difference is, you'll be so well equipped to handle them that they just feel like manageable bumps in the road, you know? Not these deep craters that you need a shovel to get out of. You just won't need the shovel anymore. You'll be on a whole new, stronger foundation.
A transformation like this, it requires a whole new level of commitment. It really means becoming obsessed, and I mean that in the best possible way. Obsessed with your own life, your own growth. obsessed with finding what you can do better, with taking total ownership, and just pouring all your energy into building that new you.
And that right there is the ultimate goal, to work so hard and so smart and with so much intention that you completely change the entire trajectory of your life. You build a life where these huge comebacks just aren't necessary anymore, because you've woven resilience into the very fabric of who you are. This becomes your last comeback story.
So we're going to end by turning this whole thing right back around to you. The ideas are here. The path is pretty clear. The only question left is the one you're looking at right now. And it's not a question of if you can do it. It's a question of what it's going to look like when you do. So, what will your comeback be?